Okay, we are almost at the end, and it is time for us to go over the My Little Pony episode Top Bolt. This episode starts off with Rainbow Dash in the Wonderbolt's locker room. Apparently she's been away from Ponyville to do some spring training, and she's excited to get back with her friends and resume her normal life. She sort of talks on about all of her friends in front of one of the other Wonderbolts, who seems to be just a little bit envious of Rainbow Dash and her friends, and is perhaps maybe tired of hearing Rainbow Dash talk on about how she has so many great friends and so many wonderful plans when she goes home. And then we get a look at Spitfire, who's got to stay behind to do some training with some new recruits. She may not particularly enjoy the fact that she has to stay behind, but she actually does enjoy blowing her whistle and yelling at ponies and whipping them into shape, considering Drill Sergeant one of the best jobs she's ever had. After going back to Ponyville and leaving Wonderbolt's Academy behind her, Rainbow Dash gets a call from her Cutie Mark to report to the map. She and Twilight are both being called by the map, and Starlight, Glimmer, and Spike are actually in this episode, but they don't have any speaking lines and we never see them again after this, so they're just sort of hanging out in the background to remind us that they're there. And where is Rainbow Dash and Twilight being sent? Back to the Wonderbolt's Academy that Rainbow Dash just came from. So the two of them head off and they meet up with Spitfire, who's in the middle of training some new recruits. We see which ones are promising and which ones are sort of failing behind. And there aren't any friendship problems that Spitfire is aware of currently, but Rainbow Dash and Twilight agree to help train the cadets and run some of the classroom portions of the teaching sessions and handle the area of training new recruits that each of them is best at. Rainbow Dash will handle the physical training and Twilight will handle the nerdy educational stuff. With both of them perfectly in their element, they'll gain the trust of the other cadets and discover if there are any friendship problems or not. And so we are introduced to Sky Stinger and the appropriately named Vapor Trail. Sky Stinger being a very Rainbow Dash-like, overly confident braggart who has amazing skills. And Vapor Trail, true to her name, being the one that's always behind, the one who's flying. Even her color sort of resembles that of a vapor trail. What we learn from these two is that Vapor Trail's not the best flyer, and Sky Stinger is an amazing flyer. And he really wants Vapor Trail to be good enough at flying to become a Wonderbolt so that they can be Wonderbolts together. They're already pretty good friends, which is a unique concept for friendship problems. Normally friendship problems involve helping ponies who are not friends currently become friends. In this case, we're taking two friends and trying to help them with a problem that could strain their friendship, and we want to keep them as friends. As we dive more into this friendship problem, we realize that Vapor Trail is actually the good flyer, and Sky Stinger is actually the bad flyer, and that Vapor Trail has been helping Sky Stinger to improve his flight ability by giving him slight boosts with wind and wind power and so forth. And that her own flying has been suffering because she's been supporting Sky in so many different ways. Sky doesn't know that he's incapable of being a good flyer on his own, and that he actually needs practice to get better, because Vapor Trail's been helping him this whole time in secret. Once the secret is revealed, however, the two of them begin to fight and argue, and their friendship gets strained. But with Twilight and Rainbow Dash's help, Rainbow Dash is able to find Vapor Trail's confidence that she needs to be an amazing pony and stand out, and Twilight helps Sky Stinger to admit that he needs help and needs to start training. The four of them train together and get Sky Stinger's confidence back up so that he can be a good pony, and Vapor Trail also works on her skills and improves herself, and she also becomes a better pony. Ultimately, the two remain friends, and working together, they're able to pull off some amazing teamwork, helping each other out and so forth. Overall, this was a pretty good story. It did absolutely nothing wrong. It had some funny moments that actually worked as comedy. It introduced us to some interesting characters, and while there were no songs and no real world building and nothing new was added, it did tell a number of different plot points that I thought were really interesting. This is one of those episodes that works. Perhaps one of the better ones of the season, but certainly not one of the best either. I don't know where I'll rank it, but I'll figure that out on a later date. What I did like about this episode is that they introduced two new characters, and they introduced them pretty much perfectly. When you introduce characters like Timber Spruce or Flash Sentry, or any number of other ponies that have come on for a short amount of time and not really been main cast characters, it sometimes takes a while before you learn about their personalities, before you see good chemistry between them and other characters, before you get to see their families and learn who they were in the past. Even Starlight, Glimmer, and Sunburst had to take a while to build them up before we understood who they really were. In the case of Sky Stinger and Vapor Trail, we actually get to know their personalities, their childhood, their past, their families, their chemistry together, what they're capable of doing now, what they were capable of doing in the past, and what they're capable of doing by the end of the episode. And we see a very good reason for them to have such a strong relationship with each other. And it all happens in one episode. These are probably two of the best developed and best shippable characters that I've seen in a long time. They have better chemistry than Rarity and Trenderhoof, better chemistry than Rarity and Fancy Pants, better chemistry than Flash and Twilight, maybe even better chemistry than Pinkie Pie and Cheese Sandwich, dare I say. And since we know what both of their families look like too, we don't have to wait around for several seasons to get that information, like we did with Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. So all in all, this is better than Zephyr Breeze, better than the Pie Sisters, just all around a better introduction of two brand new characters we've never seen before. They were introduced in this episode, got their backstory in this episode. They got interesting personalities and my desire to see them again in this episode. And they got best friends that they could easily be shipped with no argument in this episode. So, great on them. We also got to see in this episode, just like Rainbow Dash and Lightning Dust, and even Twilight after she got her wings, more shows of ponies reaching high speeds and leaving behind their tail colors as they zoom about, which I thought was an interesting bit of species information going into the lore behind the Pegasus. This is also one of the times when the two ponies on the map mission basically didn't argue. When Pinkie Pie and Rarity were on their map mission, they fought over what type of food to eat and how to decorate the restaurant. When Applejack and Fluttershy had a map mission, they disagreed over who the friendship mission was really about and whether or not Flim and Flam should be included in their plans. But here with Twilight and Rainbow Dash, they disagreed over the best approach to handle the friendship problem, but it turned out that both of them were right and both of them were wrong in different situations. This friendship problem needed Twilight and Rainbow Dash's input at the same time, and they both contributed good ideas. They acknowledged pretty quickly that both of their ideas could be right and both of their ideas could be wrong, and there was no fighting or arguing or disagreeing or any kind of tension between the two. They just sort of agreed that, yeah, you have a good idea too. I can't be entirely certain, but I think it was the G1 Pony Surprise who was featured on the front of one of Twilight's charts that depicted Pegasus and how they fly when she was talking about teaching her lessons. Also, I think most of the comedy of this episode came from the classroom sequence. This would have been a great opportunity to have brought Lightning Dust back and to try to have reformed her in some way. After all, we brought back Dilda, we brought back Trixie, so why not bring back Lightning Dust too? Heck, we even reformed the Changeling of all things. But nope, no Lightning Dust in this episode. Not even the vaguest hint of her. But it's not nearly as depressing to get an episode without Lightning Dust as it is to get an episode without Applejack's parents. Nice little running gag going on for Rainbow Dash too, as she's constantly going back and forth between friendship map business and Wonderbolt business, and has no rest in between the two. Kind of like being Nightwing and trying to balance working with Batman with working with the Teen Titans with having a personal life. I guess we could, for at least a little bit, look at Rainbow Dash as being sort of Nightwing in a way. Now, maybe not the best analogy, but it's the first one that came to my head. Overall, this was a good episode. It gave me everything that I wanted to see out of Rainbow Dash post Newbie Dash. Rainbow Dash got to have some casual conversations with the Wonderbolts. She's dressed in her flight jacket. She's accepted her nickname with no problem. She's doing all sorts of Wonderbolt related stuff, both before the episode starts and after the episode ends. She got to show up for training, got to help train some of the recruits, and Twilight was even along for the ride. And both of them are even being respected and treated as celebrities by the younger ponies. It was really nice to see this be the ultimate result of everything that happened in Newbie Dash and all the episodes before. The characters of Sky Stinger and Vapor Trail keep wanting to say Skybound. It's Sky Stinger. Sky Stinger, not Skybound. That's a different character altogether. But these two characters are really good, really interesting, and I'd love to see them pop up on the show again. In fact, I'd love to see a lot of the characters that we've been introduced to in the past couple of seasons make more permanent return appearances. Thank you for watching, and good night.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Skybound.
Starlight Bugs.